people, and it's gone on. Yes, it's gone on. I tell you, it's gone on. Oh, this poverty is killing our people, and it's gone on. And we won't be silent anymore. Did you know these people kind of kill our children, and it's gone on? Oh yes, it's gone on. I tell you, it's gone on. Oh, these policies are killing our children, and it's gone on. And we won't be silent anymore.
Yeah, somebody is poisoning the water, and it's gone on. Yes, it's gone on. Hey, hey, well, it's gone on. Somebody is poisoning the water, and it's gone on. Yeah, and we won't. No. Somebody's stealing resources, and it's gone on. Well, it's gone on. Oh, it's gone on. Somebody is stealing resources, and it's gone on. And we won't. No.
Been just a little too quiet, you know it's gone on. Yes, it's gone on. I tell you, it's gone on. Oh, if we've been just a little too quiet, you know it's gone on. And we won't be silent anymore. Now let us hear you sing it. Somebody's hurting our people.
Somebody's hurting our people, and it's going on.
Far too long.
It's going on.
Far too long.
It's going on.
Far too long.
Somebody's hurting our people,
Sing, little mama.
and it's going on.
Far too long. Won't be silent anymore. And we won't be silent. And we won't be silent anymore. Now let's just stop at we won't be silent. And we won't be silent. And we won't be silent. And we won't be silent. No, we won't be silent. We won't be silent. Be silent. Oh no, we won't. We refuse to be.
Hold up your sign.
Oh no, we won't be silent, and we won't be silent, and we won't be silent, and we won't be silent anymore. Forward together. Everybody back to back to the mic. You know, as exciting as we can get, when we're out here, and we're all full of energy about why we're here, because poverty equals death.
That's right.
We're in mourning.
That's right.
We're in deep mourning.
That's right.
Anytime we have to use the word death, it pulls us into mourning.
That's right.
Right? And so we're just gonna hum right now, because some things words just can't articulate. All right? I want y'all to hum with us. Think about all those we've lost.
Everybody say, Think about folk you've known that have died needlessly. Should be here now. We got to bring them back to life. You know? Nothing playing about what we're doing. This is, we're in black, but we're in white. All their names in your mind. If we don't do it, nobody else will, y'all. If we don't stop this, it'll keep on. 330,000 people died in COVID for lack of health care. 20 plus people every hour from poverty. No more without a political war. We're talking about the tears of the people. We got to trouble the water. Come on, everybody. Wade in the water. Come on, loud, loud, loud.
to trouble the water. We've got 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 to trouble the water.
Come quickly.
Yes, sir. Faith leaders.
With love and lament, peace and protest, truth-telling and prophetic witness, we declare.
We come with many names for the Holy God, Allah, Great Spirit, Brahma, and those too sacred to voice. And though we come called by different teachers, Jesus, Muhammad, Buddha, Moses, and others, all our sacred texts and traditions affirm justice, love, and dignity for all.
We must break the cycle of systematic racism, poverty, ecological disaster, and denial of health care, militarism, and the war on the economy and the war economy of our society. We must shift the false moral narrative of religious nationalism. We must take action together around the systematic interlocking injustice of poverty. As it said in the Holy Quran, all believing men and women, you are responsible for doing that which is right and forbid that which is wrong. In the Quran, Surah 9, verses 41.
Speak strong and loud in the mic.
Today, poverty is the fourth leading cause of death nationwide. Nearly half of all the United States is poor or low income, and more than 200,000 people die each year from poverty, the lack of education, and the lack of health care. Poverty equals death.
Let us heed the cry of the prophet Isaiah. If you remove the yoke from among you, the pointing of the finger, the speaking of evil, if you offer your food to the hungry and satisfy the needs of the afflicted, then your light shall rise in the darkness, and your gloom be like the noonday. Your ancient ruins shall be rebuilt. You will raise up the foundations of many generations, and you will be called the repairer of the breach, the restorer of streets to live in. Isaiah 58.
We demand a moral agenda for a living wage for working people. The scriptures and prophets are clear that anything less than a living wage is sinful and oppressive. All the workers you've exploited and cheated cry out for judgment. The groans of the workers you used and abused are to roar in the ears of God. James 5:4.
The prophet Jeremiah proclaims, "This is what God says. Do what is right and just. Rescue from the hand of the oppressor, the one who has been robbed. Do no wrong or violence to the foreigner, the fatherless, or the widow, and do not shed innocent blood." Jeremiah 22:3. But in our world today, there is much injustice.
We commit to follow the footsteps of the prophet Isaiah. If you remove the yoke of oppression, the pointing of the finger, the speaking of evil, if you offer your food to the hungry and safety to the needs of the afflicted, you shall rise up the foundations of my generation. You shall be called repairers of the breach, the restorers of the streets to live in. Isaiah 58:10-12.
We often hear, Sitting Bull of the Lakota people teaches. Let us put our minds together and see what life we can make for our children. And so for our children and for our children's children, we declare.
We often hear it costs too much, we don't have enough, we can't afford it. But scarcity is a lie. There is more than enough for everybody when we build from the bottom up.
Amen. We stand together as witnesses of the loss, the grief, and the suffering caused by the death-dealing systems in our nation and the lives taken due to COVID, poverty, systemic racism, militarism and war, ecological devastation, and a distorted moral narrative.
140 million poor and low-wealth people, 82 million without health care. We are called to establish justice, to promote the public's general welfare. Poverty is an American death sentence and demands action to end murder by public policy.
Yes.
We demand a moral agenda, not a resurrection, not an insurrection, but a resurrection, not of false or derelict worship, but of care for the most vulnerable. It's time for a moral movement. Then we can revive our democracy and fully address poverty and low wages from the bottom up.
That's right. Y'all ain't gotta be quiet. You can be loud out here. Let's speak out. Come on, preachers. Come on.
We demand a moral agenda for all humane immigration laws that respect the dignity of every human being. Undocumented individuals are humans and created in the image of God.
That's right.
We demand a moral agenda restoring the vital gutted parts of the Voting Rights Act. Yeah. Everyone of legal age should be able to vote in a fair election, and every vote counts.
Matakia saying, all my relations, there is a movement. We are the fusion movement. White, black, poor, low wealth, Latino, Asian, Indigena, LGBTQ, and the faith leaders that are rising to break every interlocking injustice chain.
Somebody's hurting our people, and it's gone on far too long, and we won't be silent anymore.
Somebody say, we won't.
We won't be silent. Be silent. Amen.
I want to have these young folk, you see them. I would need 2 placards on this side of this young man who have a sign about death. You got them? Casimir, come here with that notebook. Now I want to ask something strange. Probably gonna need a couple of young folk to do this. I want to get 2 young folk that are okay to lay down and put a sign, one of the signs over them that says poverty equals death. They would just lay down. And I want to have somebody, we also need a little diversity here. Now you don't have to be that young, you can be young enough to get down there. Oh, well, I'm not going to tie anybody, it's not age discrimination, but that's on you. I can't tell nobody. And if you feel like you need to get up, we'll help you up. Don't get too close, don't crowd in. Be careful, don't step on one another, be safe. That's enough, that's good, be safe. Be careful, don't do it just to do it. Do it if you're safe. Don't do it, don't be hurt yourself.
All right. Now place a placard on the side of them. And everybody, we want you healthy. We don't want nothing but the placard right across. Let me, for all that are here today, the media, can you name the top 10 causes of death in America? And without too much trouble, most Americans could likely come up with some of them. Cancer, heart disease, strokes, accidents. But it would come as a surprise to many to know that poverty is right up there and in fact higher than the things we just named. In fact, many ills that have inspired investigative committees, major policy investments, and sustained attention from the public and private sectors kill less people than poverty. Recently, a study has shown that cumulative poverty over many years is the 4th leading cause of death in this country. The 4th leading. Current poverty just this year is being poor right now is 7th on that list. And it alone causes, watch this, 10 times as many deaths as homicide. And yet every night you see news stories about homicide, and every politician will run and claim they're going to address crime and making the country safe. They're going to make country safe from those that would pull the trigger of a gun. But what about those who are pulling the trigger of public policy? 5 times as many deaths as gun violence. I know we've talked a lot about police violence and gun violence and racist police killing black people, but you cannot raise that issue when poverty kills more black people than the racist cops ever kill. You cannot raise the gun violence issue, which ought to be raised. I'm on the front lines, I believe, but you can't raise that issue and say you're concerned about death and not look at the fact that poverty kills 5 times more people than gun violence. 2.5 times as many deaths as drug overdoses for opioids. And think about that. 5 people died from vaping, and we had a presidential level hearing. People always run, we're going to deal with opioids, but poverty kills 2.5 times more than drug overdoses. Cumulative poverty lingers year after year, and cumulative poverty is associated with 60% more death than current poverty, putting only heart disease and cancer and smoking-related deaths above the number of people that are killed by poverty. But if this is true, why do we hear so much about crime rates and opioid epidemic and gun violence, but so little from our elected leaders about poverty? Why is there no Surgeon General's warning on a low-wage job? The relationship of poverty to disease and death is well established. Detailed reports by the World Health Organization, the World Bank, and our own government. But we as a people too often have become numb to the unnecessary and untold deaths that are normalized, as if to say poor folk are supposed to die, and then preachers are supposed to stand over them and lie. And say God called them home when God didn't have a damn thing to do with it. God may welcome them home, but God didn't have nothing to do with killing them. Sadly, the United States is the leader among poverty among rich countries of the world. We cannot claim exceptionalism and go around the world telling other folk what they need to do. As long as this is a reality, as of 2019, the United States had the worst poverty rate overall, 17.8%, and in children, 20.9%. among the 25 wealthiest countries. And so it's time. It's past time. We've known it. We couldn't do it as much in public because of COVID, but now it's coming out time for real. And if you think we were protesting in 2018 from COVID, and we went into COVID with poverty killing 4 times more than the 4th leading cause of death, and we've seen our loved ones killed and murdered through policy during COVID, if you think we were allowed then, you ought to see the aftermath that's coming now. We are not allowed to be quiet. We are not allowed to go back in our shells and go back in our closets. We are not allowed to just take things as they are. We are together. We are black. We are white. We are brown. We are Asian. We are indigenous. We are young. We are old. We are of every party. We are gay. We are straight. We are Jewish. We are Muslim. We are Christian. We are Unitarian. We are people of faith, people not of faith. And not only aren't we going anywhere, we're going to get louder and louder and louder. We're going to link arms together and make the case for an economy that works for everybody. And we're not doing it not knowing what power we have. We have not only the power to be loud, we got the power to send some of y'all home. We got the power to determine who's the president is. We're going to wake up this sleeping giant of 87 million poor and low wealth people in this country. Because if the United States is going to claim to be the beacon of democracy in a world and a nation committed to establishing justice and promoting the general welfare at home, it cannot be true that poverty is the 4th leading cause of death in the richest nation in the world. And we say, like Martin said, maybe in another country we wouldn't say anything, but you said on paper that you were about establishing justice. If you didn't mean it, you shouldn't have written it down. But since you did, we're going to hold you accountable. That's why poor and low-wealth people are fighting for our lives.
Yes, sir. That's right.
Clergy, we're fighting for our people's lives. Advocates, we are fighting for our lives. And today we are calling on you to support the introduction of a 3rd Reconstruction. We've had 2, but they didn't finish the job. One in the 1800s, one in the 1960s. We need a 3rd Reconstruction. We are outlining a 3rd Reconstruction resolution to ask you as leaders, as elected leaders, do you even have the resolve, just the heart to fight for these matters? And we remind you what the scriptures say since you pray every morning when you open the Congress. But the problem is you pray P-R-A-Y, and then after that you pray P-R-E-Y on poor folk. Woe unto those who legislate evil and rob the poor of their rights and make women and children their prey. And so we are together. We're staying together. We're going to raise our voices. We're going to raise our votes. When necessary, we're going in the streets. If necessary, we'll fill up the jails. We don't have to do it violently, but we will do it victoriously. We don't have to be mean, but we're going to be a movement. We're going to stand up and not sit down. We were born for this time. We are the ancestors. We are the descendants of the ancestors that stood before us. They fought worse and won. We must fight in our time. And you know what? We're going to let everybody know. If you've been wondering when poor folk and black folk and brown folk and all different races of folk and folk from Appalachia to Alabama, from Carolina to California, from Kansas to Kentucky, from farmers to fast food workers, if you've been wondering when they were going to get together, we are that movement. We are. And so today, now we want to hear from a face, because we always say put a face. Put a face on it. Say put a face on it. So to do that, Joyce from Ohio, and if you all of y'all need to get up, it's fine. Joyce from Ohio, help them up, y'all. Be behind our people. Joyce from Ohio, I got you. I'm just repeating it. You know, they say you got to repeat it 3 times. Kim Burks from West Virginia. Kim Burks from West, help her up, from West Virginia. Thank them for being a picture. Marina, help him. Okay, Marina from New York. Marina from New York. Did I get you right? You all right, sister? All right. Marina from New York. And who else? Serena from New England.
Sierra.
Is that New Hampshire?
From Nebraska.
Nebraska.
Sierra.
Sierra from Nebraska. Then Ronnie from Vermont. That right? Then Wanda from Alabama. And then Jessica from Nebraska. And if we have time, we're going to have the states that aren't represented to say your state and the number of poor people in your state, and that you're not going to be silent while they die. Now, let me talk to the folk that's talking over here behind me. You know our rule. If we can't listen to each other, then how are we going to expect them to listen? Now, we can applaud, we can shout, but we don't need to talk while somebody else is talking. We can sing together, but we can't talk together. Touch your neighbor and say, neighbor, it's listening time and then responding time. See, I come from a tradition, you hear the testimony and then you rejoice in the testimony. Now, this is different because these testimonies are not happy, and we can't make them pretty. That's not what America needs right now. If I can say it like we say it in the South, America's clogged up, and she needs a good dose of castor oil. Castor oil ain't nice, but it'll help you. It'll help you. These folk are coming to tell the truth, and it's being live streamed all over the world and by others. Y'all got your order that you're coming in? Come on at this time. Come on at this time. Joyce, you start us off. Excuse me. Can you step up? Step up just a little bit.
My name's Joyce Kendrick. I'm from Middletown, Ohio. Ohio, where 39% of our population lives in poverty. During the pandemic, we all wore masks everywhere. I wore them not only for safety reasons. I'm on Medicare for disability, which doesn't cover dental care. At 60 years old, I've lost most of my teeth, and it was nice to hide behind those masks for a while. Society sees my lack of teeth and thinks poor hygiene, laziness, uneducated, ignorance. Many of the stereotypes that come to people like me who live in poverty. During that time, for once, Congress actually expanded the social safety net. With stimulus payments and extra SNAP benefits, I was hoping to finally, maybe, break out of the survival mode I had been living in. Before the expansions, I had to supplement my tiny benefits at food banks where it was difficult to find food that I could eat without my teeth.
Mama.
Things that people don't understand or even think about when it comes to people living in poverty. I was raised in a loving home, but as a survivor of more than a decade of childhood rape and torment by neighbors, the trauma and the resulting mental health issues caused me to become disabled at the age of 43. My first Social Security disability check was less than $700 a month. With my Medicare coverage deducted today, my monthly check is still in 3 digits. After the American Rescue Plan of 2021, my SNAP benefits increased and stimulus payments arrived. I had high hopes that maybe, just maybe now, I could buy nutritious food that I could eat. I could get the mental health treatment that I needed. Due to my childhood experiences, I was diagnosed with complex PTSD and trauma. That's ongoing treatment. And discovering the diagnosis at this advanced stage in my life, that's also a lifelong treatment.
That's right.
But now all that is gone. lawmakers let the SNAP expansion and other pandemic programs expire. I'm back in survival mode. I'm back to choosing between proper medical care and a proper meal. I need stronger safety net protections that won't be torn away by lawmakers or by complicated eligibility requirements for these benefits.
That's right.
And guess what? I still need teeth.
That's right.
And this is why we need a third Reconstruction.
That's right. Somebody shout, you are not alone. And we won't be silent. Anymore. Kim Burke.
Kimberly Burks, Beckley, West Virginia. I will not be silent to keep them comfortable anymore. My son, Quantez Burks, 37 years old, was put in jail on a misdemeanor charge. Little did he know he had 18 hours left in his life that he would see day again. My son was brutally beat by the correctional officers at the Southern Regional Jail. I am tired of the officers, the officers in blue covering up for one another. His case has been a cover-up for 1 year and 4 months now. And I am not going to be silent anymore. I love my son, whether you do or you don't. My son was 37 years old. He was a homeowner. He was a grandfather. He was a father. His daughter just graduated from Ohio State University with the full 4-year scholarship ride. He wasn't a bad person, but why did they take his life? Why did they put their hands on him? For no reason at all. They didn't know him. He didn't know them. He was in there on a misdemeanor charge, bondable.
That's right.
Bondable. And I will not remain quiet anymore. I want to see them have an answer for what they're doing. Because we're poor, we're going to be washed away, swept under the rug, looked over. We're not having it anymore. And I ask you all to stand up for police brutality. It is not necessary in the morning. We're going back to the olden days, and it's over.
Yes. You're not alone. And we won't be silent anymore. And the poor people in West Virginia that are dying, those are black, they're white, they're everybody. But it's poor, it's poverty. And the believing that people don't have the resource to fight back.
Yes.
And Poor People's Campaign in West Virginia was the only group that came and pushing the Justice Department to do it for. And this mother, what's the other sister's name, the family?
Latasha.
The
I'm
family.
sorry, the Shrewsbury family.
Shrewsbury family, the black family and the white family, but they're not going to be silent and we can't anymore. Thank you, come on. Mariana.
And don't forget my son Max.
All right, Max.
All right.
Muy buenas tardes, hola mi gente, aquí estamos y no nos vamos. Mi nombre es Mariana Pineda, soy madre, maestra y mujer indígena, mujer poderosa, and we will not be erased. My name is Mari, I am an immigrant from Central America, and I am a proud indigenous woman. We are Wetad, we are still here, we are still fighting. We will not be erased. At the age of 4 years old, I was forcibly removed from my country and brought to this country by my white American mother. She told me there were no indigenous people in Costa Rica. She said that it was a political no man's land. There was nobody here. It was just free, open territory. And then my German ancestors did some real dirty things in World War II, and then they took their hoarded wealth and they hid in Latin America like so many other Nazis in Argentina and Costa Rica. Did you know that there is a Nazi party
Party of Costa Rica still active today? It ain't right. But we did everything right. We came here legally. I was naturalized. I have a green card. And I did everything right. I had perfect SAT and ACT scores. I got into every college except Harvard. I was waitlisted for Cornell. I have 3 degrees and 6 teacher certifications. And I am homeless. And my son and I have been homeless for a year and a half because in April 2020, I contracted COVID. And I was put in the hospital where there were 82 of us in the emergency room, packed in like sardines, where if I moved my elbow, I bumped the elbow of my neighbor beside me. And there were no Spanish language interpreters on the unit. So from my bed, I would call out to my brothers and sisters, Señor, por favor, ella te está tratando de ayudar. Por favor, dete vuelta. Tome el oxígeno, queremos ayudarte. Because they would just flip him over and restrain him and scream at him because he did not speak English.
Give me 1 second. I'm not interrupting.
Too much?
No, it ain't too much. We have a backpack on the side. If you do not own it, they have to move all of us. There's a backpack on this, unattended. We got to deal with this right now.
What color is the backpack?
What color is it? Who got a backpack? Who doesn't have your backpack?
Safety first.
Safety first.
Okay. Sister Asada Shakur says it is our duty to love and protect one another.
Help him up.
Is you? Maybe.
Kevin, come this way, Kevin.
Kevin, is that yours?
Who's Kevin?
It's a backpack.
Kevin, is it yours? Help him up. Listen, there's an unattended backpack. Come this way. If you think it's yours, come this way. We need to do it quickly. We have to keep this movement safe, right?
It is our duty to love and protect one another. It is our duty to fight. It is our duty to win.
Do we have it acknowledged? Okay. Hold 1 second. Hold 1 second. I just need somebody to tell me that we got an owner. Even if he's walking, is it the owner? Okay. You should know if you left it. Otherwise, they got to move us so they can check it.
That's the owner, Bishop.
Huh? You got an owner? Let it rip.
All right. Thank you. So in April 2020, we were packed in like sardines in the COVID unit. I had to wait 36 hours in the ER to get a bed upstairs in what had been an ambulatory surgery unit, which they had converted into COVID units by duct taping plexiglass between us. And every single person on that unit was black or brown or Latino. There was one white woman on the unit, and they moved her real quick, and they left the rest of us there. And we say in my country, a freír monos, to go fry monkeys, because we had no disposable pull-ups, so you had to lay in bed and soil yourself. There was an oxygen shortage, so I had to be discharged at home without oxygen. And they told me that they could not provide transportation home from the hospital because it's very expensive. I was a public school teacher. I had good health insurance, I thought. I thought my union had my back. I was mistaken. Because when I was in the COVID unit, I was still posting brain pop videos in my Google Classroom. I was still attending faculty meetings with my camera off. I never got flowers, a card, a phone call from my district. And instead, I got a letter telling me that as of October, they would no longer be paying me, and instead I would have to pay them $3,000 a month for COBRA to keep my health insurance benefits. Okay.
That's why we can't be what?
We lost our house. We've been in a shelter for a year and a half. My 7-year-old son has been diagnosed with hypertension, a sleep disorder, PTSD, anxiety, and depression because social services rather pay the shelter $7,000 a month than give us a $1,300 a month voucher to try to get safe, affordable, accessible housing. It ain't right, and we're fighting back. El pueblo unido. Thank you.
And my sister just said something that Matthew Desmond in his book talks about the billions of dollars that are there for poor and low wealth communities that aren't accessible because of the bureaucracy, and they pay the lawyer rather than pay the people. The lawyer and others. This is why we can't be silent. And we can't be alone, and why America must hear these voices. We have Sierra from Nebraska. Talk to us. Talk to the nation.
My name is Sierra. I'm from Hastings, Nebraska, and I'm one of many with my story. The first time I remember food insecurity being a real issue was when I moved out of the house and was pregnant with my oldest. I often skipped meals with my husband, or he would eat one day and I would eat the next. Once we had third snap in the third trimester, when they finally counted the baby as a person, we were able to eat at least once a day. After my son was born and off of formula, we were back to eating every other day for a while. This is so we made sure he could eat. This lack of nutrition, my doctor told me, is the reason my second pregnancy was so rough. I was on bed rest at 20 weeks after I almost lost my second son due to the lack of nutrition. This is uncalled for when this is supposed to be a country of opportunity, especially when I live in our nation's breadbasket. As a child care worker, I also deeply care about access to quality jobs. It's not right that so many jobs lack benefits such as paid sick leave, retirement, and paid parental leave. I shouldn't have to be in the hospital with my sick child wondering if I can pay my rent at the end of the month because I can't work while he is recovering. But I have found myself in this position multiple times. I should be worried about my son's health, not the bills, but I don't get that luxury. I shouldn't be sitting in the hospital hiding my fear of losing our home from my child as he recovers. This isn't the America I want for my children. We need change, and we need it now.
You're not alone. And we won't be silent anymore. We brothers and sisters now. I don't have no church, so I'll pastor you. How about that? But we got to connect with one another, y'all, in every way possible. Ronnie?
Yes?
Come on.
Thank you. Hello. Please forgive me. I have a brain injury, so I didn't write anything down, but I am Ronnie. I am from Burlington, Vermont, where we are suffering with 194,000 poor and low-income Vermont. That's 31.3% of our population. Let me start off my story with the fact that I am a survivor. We are all survivors. And we are going to survive out of spite.
I like that.
We are going to be a voice that they are going to listen to because, by God, I lived. You're going to hear my story, and I lived. In my town, they call me Mom. I am the mom of the homeless.
Excuse me one second. We got another backpack.
Oh.
We asked you to leave them on the bus. Are you missing a backpack?
This is a purse.
This is a purse on the wall. Purse, backpack, you have to keep them on you because of Homeland Security is so uptight, and they have a right to be.
Yes.
Movements like this are being targeted now.
That's right.
Has anybody do we have the owner? It's a purse.
Yes.
Come on. And we only have about 3 minutes before we gotta walk. Got a purse? She got it? Okay, all right. Thank you. Give it up.
I am the daughter of a Vietnam vet. I have Agent Orange. I'm not recognized by the federal government.
Jesus.
I have fibromyalgia. I have arthritis that started at 10 years old, so I already fight that. I'm a teenage mother at 14 years old. I'm a proud mother of 3 children. But I am now the mother of the homeless crew in Burlington, Vermont. Governor Phil Scott vetoed the homeless hotel program, which puts everybody out. And now they have to face the homeless insecurity that I was facing when I had my heart attack.
Jesus.
I stood there, I know that I am DNR. That was not respected. Nothing is respected about me. I'm Native American, and it's not respected. I check other. I'm LGBTQ, that's not respected. I'm a teenage mother, so I get no respect. I'm a recovered addict, that gets me no respect. I am homeless, that gets me no respect. So when I was suffering my heart attack, I didn't want to go in and have it taken care of. But I did, because I was standing in front of all the kids that were homeless and felt hopeless themselves. And I'm trying to give them hope.
That's right.
We're trying to give them hope.
That's right.
We have a voice. We got to give the next generation hope, don't we? We got to give them love. If we give them love, we can pull them out of poverty. Because if you love somebody, you want them to be just as equal to you.
That's right.
If you love somebody, you want them to have a home. If you love somebody, you want them to have a meal. If you love somebody, you want them to have
That's right.
medical care.
That's right.
If you love somebody, you don't want them to survive a heart surgery and go right back into a homeless shelter.
That's right.
If we love somebody, we can pull them out of poverty. Let's be the voice of love.
Let's be it. Say, let's be the voice of love. Let's be the voice of love. Wanda and Jessica, we're going to do it at the press conference. Reverend Liz is going to come and close us, and I then going to need, where? Okay, we're going to need in a moment just to open up that little way so I can come right through there.
You've got to let us wail. You've got to let us wail. We have heard and we know to the core of our bodies that death, that poverty is a death sentence. But another way is possible. We, as we've heard, can be and are a moral resurrection. Reaching to those in the halls of Congress and across this capital city. If we choose, there can be life. And so we, the poor, the clergy, the advocates, the activists, are that resurrection. And we are ambulance drivers, willing to drive through the red lights of a death-dealing system to put out the fire raging for the poor in this society.
That's right. For the poor in this society. I'm going to interrupt. I hate to do this, but the Capitol Police have said if they find another bag unintended, they will have to shut us down. So make sure that you got your stuff. It's not, they're not being mean, it's not on them. They are protecting and they have to do this. You can't take anything for granted, okay? I'm sorry, Liz, I didn't want to do that.
No, we're done.
Are we done? Okay.
Yeah, we can be done.
There's a fire raging, a righteous fire for the poor of this nation. Now listen, y'all, this ain't gonna be easy. It's not gonna be one rally, but this is the beginning. And we're going to keep on, and we're going to keep on, and we're going to keep on. But we ain't going to keep on forever because we're going to raise enough power and enough voice that we're going to see change. They're going to feel us everywhere.
Feel us.
This nation going to feel us.
Feel us.
Going to feel our power, our voices, and everything. Now we're going to casually say we're not marching. And don't tell anybody you're marching. We want you to put down your, where you going to grab the signs, y'all?
At the cross.
At the crosswalk?
Yeah.
So Liz and I and the persons that just finished speaking, we're going to come right through here, and we're going to casually walk. Say, we're just walking. We just walking. We ain't bothering nobody. Now, if we were going to do something else, we would tell them. If we were going to do a civil disobedience, we would tell them. Not today. We're walking up that way and then over to the triangle. Now, when you get there, everybody, listen, everybody cannot be on the triangle. Only about 100 people. The rest of you we need on the crafts and on other places. Otherwise, they'll try to say we violated something, okay? So we're just walking. 20 people on the triangle, that's it. Because that's the nature of it. But out on the grass, and be paying attention out there, right? Don't do other things. Because if you start eating a sandwich, I'm going to come over there because I'm hungry. So let's be cool now, okay? So we're going to walk. We need to collect every placard that we have. Don't put one under your shirt. If you see somebody in an orange vest, give your placard to them. Give your placard to them. Stay with him if you can. And we don't bunch up. Listen, shh. You want to go 3 people, that's it. We're walking. Please be disciplined in this, because it'll shut out our permit down. 3 people, maybe 4. Make yourselves about 10, 15 feet apart and stay disciplined. Stay disciplined. Stay disciplined. Please do that. Don't bunch up. Don't bunch up. Which way are you going? Okay, don't bunch up. Somebody take this mic.
In the battlefield. Did you see my
I know you ain't, I'm just teasing. Go ahead a little further in front of me. Lead us on.
You want me to lead
Yeah,
y'all?
I want you to lead.
Okay, I'm gonna lead
You're
y'all
the
to
lead.
security.
You're the security.
No, security right here.
Oh, you got it? Okay.
They right there. They got black shirts on.
You the boss.
That's right. We just
Don't bunch up.
I gotta walk. Somebody has to push me because he wants me to walk.
I want you up there. I want you. Yeah. I want you right there, babe. Y'all show this walk down. No, she can keep on, but I'm good. Security, bring my car around.
Yes.
Bishop, Tennessee loves you. All right. Love you too, man.
I'll make sure she's with me because I can't leave the pastor.
Right now I'm focusing on the thing. Just a little bit. Feel like I'm getting trippy. Oops, excuse me. No chanting. Pass that back, y'all.
No chanting. 3 by 3, please.
Thank you.
Right here. I need y'all to stop. I need everybody to get by 3. Line up 3 by 3. I need the speakers up front. And everybody else fall behind the speakers. 3 by Bryson, I need you up here, Miss Carol and Calvin. Y'all go. 3 by 3. 3 by 3. If you see yourself the 4th person, move to behind. 3 by 3. 3 by 3. 3 by
Hey,
this way.
This way. They dad was gonna branch out and go get him.
Okay. This way. No signs.
Watch these steps. Somebody needs to stand on that sidewalk so people won't trip.
We need to come through
Marshal.
right here. You come through right here.
We need a marshal right there.
There she go.
Stay right there.
Stay right there.
And
There's
point.
your pose.
Watch your step. Oh, wait.
I'm just gonna go out so that I'm out of the way.
Can you let these guys go?
Right there.
No, we can't.
Drop right there.
Oh, okay. Well, so do we. Step,
Jump ahead.
Go around and come over back on the other side. What's that one over here?
Cross the street 3 by 3.
You got one though, sometimes that's something you don't know.
I'm just being me. No, me not
Hold at the stoplight.
The chair's right there.
No placards on the premises. If you have placards on the back of your wheelchair, anywhere out, take them off your back and pass them. They cannot go on the Capitol grounds.
No. He has some right there. That young lady's not in our group. The 1070 group.
Oh, no. Where is she?
She's up there.
Yeah, I think we're 3 by 3 back now, y'all.
Keep it 3 by 3, y'all.
3 by 3 is 1, 2, 3. One of my
Nice to meet you. I'm CJ from Rhode Island, Mississippi.
When you all gather all the marshals, we need some marshals up front.
We have 2. Where are we going?
Someone right on this end.
Next 3. Awesome.
3. 3. Come on, this end. All right. All right, next 3. One more right here. Yes.
Hey, pregnancy. Look at this. Look at this. Sisters.
Yes. Yes.
We keep losing our third person. It's funny.
Yeah.
We're trying really hard to be
3 by 3. Can I get someone to get right here? Thank you. 3 by 3. Maryland.
All right, we got our 3.
You're gonna have to wait until 5 minutes.
Didn't understand is because he showed us how to stand.
Right. Yeah, I get the help.
Yeah.
Okay, it's working. The time is free. Well, let's shoot. Everybody behind. Not that fast. We're trying to go real slow. Okay.
I know where. I know how we're planning to go. I actually like doing it, and they said, who knows? I'm talking about the Let's ride it for You gotta see Medicine Street.
I'm calling you. I got a 336 number, Sangria. Yes, ma'am. I'm calling your phone. It's 336 number, so
I almost got her hit by the butt. Yes.
we came here for Congress.
circles?
In North Carolina, we call them circles. I don't know what you like.
Coordinating committee.
Coordinating committee. Okay, yeah.
We got circles, man. Oh, yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, there's about 13 of us.
Oh, nice.
Eric?
Well, you can become a news freak.
Yeah.
I was watching that quad action she had going
I
on.
know. Those quads and those abs.
Yeah.
This year is actually a huge year in the midst of all
I think he just said make America great. Make it again. Make it again.
She's going to show you the line. I'm reading the line. Here she is. I'm in the front. Behind her.
Great. I can ask Okay, perfect. Got it.
The reverend told me that
Hey, Danielle.
Okay, look at this. See all them buildings right there? They're scared of us.
just walking. Grabbing some fresh air and look at the Capitol. Okay, let's start.
I guess now.
Nice and slow.
If we can get it at 3, if we can get that 3 back again.
Nice and slow.
Get that 3 back, 3. Get 3.
Stop right here. Let's stop right here.
We can start right here.
You can take this home with you too.
I can't take any pictures of the Capitol.
I got my husband that said that the best thing I
feeling some kind of way.
That's really one time my son was a staffer and I think they keep a staffer.
Oh, you think they're the staffers?
Huh?
The group of people are the staffers?
Yep. I think
Notre Dame fans,
We ain't got no placard. We ain't bothering nobody. Bring me the lead officer.
He was fine.
I know he's fine. Ain't no telling why y'all get so trippy.
And they was telling them they had to move.
No, but I'm saying Claire's got the information. She knows what she's saying. Come in, come on up. You ain't got to move. How y'all doing? Y'all just out for a leisurely walk. Right. Now look, just pass it back that we are out. Listen, y'all marshals, I need marshals to pass things back. Mic check.
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 All right. Pass the word back that we are just on a leisurely walk.
We just on a
Just tell them, pass it back.
Pass it down.
Something I want to give to you.
Pass it down.
Because you don't have one of these down in Rhode Island.
Hey, okay. I got it right here in my pocket, Meadow.
Now you know what we
That's
do.
right. May I speak to the chief officer? Get that officer. Who is the chief?
He's coming, Bishop.
Where's Eric? Eric, I need Eric. Where's Eric?
He went that way.
You got your camera? Come right.
Oh, yeah, right here.
Where's the lead officer? Officer? Are you the lead officer? Can you talk to me? Yeah, officer, come right here to me. I'm the responsible one. Now, what's the problem? Okay, let's deal with it. What's the problem? The traffic. Okay, so tell me, because it's a leisurely walk, there ain't no march or nothing, we ain't got no sign, we ain't no insurrection, we ain't doing nothing, we just walking. They told us we could walk. I know you didn't, I'm just saying other people, I didn't mean that you did on the rest. I don't mind getting arrested, but not today. So look, hold on. So tell me, how far do they need to move over to the
Well,
side?
we're kind of just watching it. So far, the cars have been able to get through.
Cool.
But the cars isn't just letting them get through. It's making sure none of your people get hurt
I got
either.
you.
So
Okay.
that's what we're really watching for. That's why we have police presence.
Cool. That's what.
Okay. So I've reached out to your guys to let us know what you guys need. But if you're walking, I mean,
Now, can they, when we do the press conference, can they just stand if they stand discipline right there? Fine, right?
As long as we're not promoting.
They ain't gonna promote no way. They ain't gonna promote, cohort, and cohabitate. We don't do none of that. We don't do none of
Anything
that.
like that. What I'll try and do is, it's really nice talking to you folks. I'll try and talk to you guys, see
My
what we
man.
can do,
My
make
man.
sure everything is composite.
My
Okay,
man.
I just want
My man.
a peaceful day.
That's what you got. Okay. All right. Good. All right. All right. Team, marshals, I need everybody up here. You can't get a nerve when you do this stuff. You just gotta be calm. Tally, everybody. We need y'all to walk down the line. walk down this line, tell people to be mindful of the car, stay on this side, and stay disciplined. They can't, we can stay, we can walk, we can do anything, but right now, for discipline's sake, we want the picture to be with during the press conference and the chief back there. So we need people to stay disciplined till after the press conference. Stay on this side, don't get hit by. The officer will tell us if there is a problem. See, and we also need, this is a lesson. They need to see folks up there and we over here. Then we're gonna teach what that means tomorrow. Next time we're gonna be over there. But then we were told we couldn't be, see all that they doing? Now they tell us we can't. You see?
Does they approve that letter?
Right. They didn't. Now listen. That's teaching. That's a lesson. That's a lesson. See, because that's McCarthy approved that. They wouldn't approve us. But that's okay. This picture is better than that one too.
Yep.
Right. So come on. Let me walk down the line. Y'all walk down the line. Same message. Get the speakers over to the triangle. Get the speakers to the triangle. Speakers to the triangle.
Watch out, watch out, watch out.
What y'all are seeing is how power works because McCarthy didn't approve, but that's okay. We need what we're doing right now. There's gonna be a day we'll deal with the steps, but you need to see this. But this image right here is more powerful. All of us standing, disciplined together, because this is a sign of what's coming, right? And what we're gonna eventually do. So look at our line, all the way back. As long as we move, don't move. We ain't got to move, don't worry about them steps right there. Let's take this way. Make sure if a car moves, don't let them through. There will be a day for us to do nonviolent action. This is not the day. The day will come when we will do it if we need to shake the heart of this nation. And even on camera, I'm not saying win, because we never come to get arrested. We don't do that. We come to exercise our rights. And then if you arrest us, that's your business. But right now, this picture, and just make sure folks stay back, we can only get 25 people on the triangle for the press conference. But the way this is, the cameras will shoot. And Margaret knows about that. They're going to shoot across us. So guess what they're going to see? This whole line. And it's a beautiful thing. Look at it. Yep. Look at it. All the way. And they wondering what's going on.
They mobilize.
But this is what happens when you have a speaker that says no to some. And I'm glad we're seeing this today. Because see, this is going to help us when, come here, this lady's is going to go to court for us. They're getting ready to file, and they're going to file, and we taking all these pictures. This is our lawyer. And she getting ready to go to court and say, now how is it that one group of folk were denied while we were watching other folk do that? See? See? Can I say something? Y'all cut the camera off for a minute. My grandma used to say, sometimes you got to give a good man enough room for
We're all witnesses. We're all witnesses. This is a good day, and we are right where we're supposed to be. Well, there's nowhere else that we were supposed to be, but right here today. Yes, and we're gonna hold this line. It's a beautiful line, and if you need to move, we will let you know. But you're right where you're supposed to be right now. Beautiful.
Thank you. So stay right here.
seeing other people there, which is okay because you see it. But that is a true fact. We wrote them and asked for permission to be on the steps, even with our legislative conscience. So y'all see what that's going to do. But we don't want to make that the issue today. We want to make this the issue.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm so sorry.
myself driving to that so be it. But I can't do this one. No, yeah, I do. Because y'all gonna make me do it. But let me do what I have left. No, I ain't got nothing. I'm tired. I'm having a moment. That's all right. I'm having a moment. I gotta get out of the way to shoot move. I gotta go out of the truck. I crashed.
You okay?
I guess in a sense, sure, but I do know
Is there any? Yeah. No, I go tap it.
Whoever's faster.
Sings over us. God sings over us.
Like I said.
Okay. I'm fat admitting. Hey, is that Congresswoman John Paul over there? Hey, is that you? Who is that? No, that ain't. That's Detroit. How you doing? Well, I ain't been to Detroit. It's been COVID. But don't act like I can't cook. All right, we're going to speak the 5. Let's speak 1, where 2. Now look, I do need y'all on this. I know you got to do that 1 minute. I know we're a little bit over there, but we got to hit that 1 minute. Hit it hard. You get tapped on the back, that means, because they got to go back in and stuff, and we don't want to lose folk. Are they here yet? It's getting ready to rain. It don't rain on us.
Erica Ripley's office. Good to see you.
Hey, Mike from Diapol's office. Good to see you.
It's Tuesday. Oh, you didn't Suburban? It's Tuesday. It's a day that ends with a Y. That's what it is.
10 minutes away.
Yeah, Congressman Diapol's on our way now. Should be maybe 5.
So, yeah. That's a lot. Yeah. We can get going, and then this is what
Might not be very coherent. Where's Cash? You got Cash? I need my stuff right quick. Are we early?
No, we're right on time.
Okay.
Literally on time. Yeah.
All right. Liz, you want to open up your 1 minute and I'll come behind you and call these folks? I don't know what my stuff is yet. You got your stuff on the phone. I don't think you know.
I don't
Okay. All right.
I think so.
Huh?
Do we want to hand these people signs?
No sign. None. Okay. All right.
All right.
Yeah.
Good evening. My name is Reverend Dr. Liz Theo Harris. I'm the director of the Cairo Center and co-chair with Bishop William J. Barber of the Poor People's Campaign, a national call for moral revival. And we're here at the House Triangle during a Moral Poverty Action Congress, where nearly 1,000 people from more than 30 states are here in Washington, D.C., building our power. We're excited this evening to be calling for a third Reconstruction, fully ending poverty.
Amen.
Because we know we live in the richest country in the world, the richest country in human history, where poverty has no place. And yet, before the COVID-19 pandemic, 140 million people, almost half of the U.S. population, was poor or one small emergency from absolute economic ruin. But it does not have to be this way. We do not live in scarcity. Death does not have to have the last say. In a country that has poverty as one of the greatest killers, This is not just immoral and wrong, but it has no place. And so we are organizing with the Poor People's Campaign a national call for moral revival to say that we are here, we are poor, we are clergy, we are advocates, we are activists, and we are going to build from the bottom up. We're going to lift, we're going to build from the bottom, lift from the bottom so everybody can rise.
Amen. Amen.
Amen.
Let me thank Reverend Dr. Liz Theo Harris and thank Congresswoman Jayapal and Congresswoman Lee for being courageous leaders who are going to lead on putting forth the third Reconstruction Ending Poverty and Low Wages resolution. This doesn't solve the problem, but it raises the question for the Congress, who has the courage, who has the resolve to face this issue? And they're gonna lead it. We've been meeting today with Leader Jeffries. We met today with a delegation from New York with Senator Schumer. Tomorrow we have a delegation going to meet with the White House and then to set up a meeting later directly with the president, not with Liz and myself, but with impacted people who are to face. People who have had people die, who are facing death themselves, as you will hear from testimonies today. Because what we must do is put a face on the facts and then have a movement that keeps going forward and will not be silent. I raise this question wherever we go. Can you name the top 10 causes of death in America? And without much trouble, most Americans would come up and say what, cancer, heart disease, stroke, accidents. But it would be a surprise to most folk to know that poverty before COVID was right up there with those scourges. In fact, higher. Poverty actually kills more people than homicide. Poverty is deadly. It doesn't have to be. It's a policy choice. It's policy murder, policy violence. It does not have to exist. In these other areas, when we hear about them, what do? We have investigative committees. We do major policy investments. We get sustained attention from the public. But when it comes to poverty, every night you can hear about homicide and you'll hear some elected figure get on and talk about keeping the society safe and wanting to make sure we're safe. But poverty is the fourth leading cause of death in America. Shame. This is recent. And let me say, it was like this, Congressman Jayapal, going into COVID. It's not the result of COVID. It got worse. COVID, poor people died at a rate 3 to 5 times higher, not because COVID discriminated, because we did, the way we delivered services. 330,000 people died during COVID from the lack of health care. We have one family from Mississippi that lost over 20 members of their family in a 30-mile radius because the governor and the government, the leadership down there, the Republican leadership, would not expand health care. Think about that. People dying in a pandemic, Liz, not from the pandemic, but from the pandemic of poverty. People die from people pulling triggers and on guns, and we stand against that. But what about those who pull the triggers on public policy, deny health care, deny living wages? A couple of years ago, 49 Republicans and 2 Democrats blocked a $15 living wage that was passed in the House. That kept nearly 50 million people in poverty and low wages. Kept them there. 51 people said no to millions. 41% of African Americans would have been lifted out of poverty and low wages with one vote. So here we are. Poverty kills more people, is 10 times more deadly than homicide. Poverty is 5 times more deadly than gun violence. Poverty is 2.5 times as many deaths as drug overdoses. Recent scholarship by Dr. Brady. But also we have Matthew Desmond, and he has a book out called Poverty by America. Not poverty in America, poverty by America. What has been done in our system to actually create poverty? Cumulative poverty that lingers year after year is associated with approximately 60% more death than current poverty. Why is it that we hear about an opioid epidemic and a gun violence epidemic? Why is it that there's no Surgeon General's warning on low-wage jobs? And say that low-wage jobs kill. And when you send people and call them essential workers during a pandemic, but then you treat them like they're expendable. And you send them in to save the country, but you don't give them health care and living wages. Or you lift up people for a little while through child poverty tax credit and then drop them right back down. United States is the leader in poverty among the rich countries of the world. As of 2019, the United States has the worst poverty rate overall, and in children specifically, 20.9%, among the other 25 wealthy countries that are part of the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. You think about that. We go around the world saying who we are, and yet our poverty rates in the richest nation in the country are worse than many other countries who are called wealthy themselves. In addition, poverty may seem rare, but 75% of all Americans between 20 and 75 years of age will be among the current poor or near poverty for at least 1 year of their lives. This is why we are mobilizing. This is why we are behind this first step, this resolution. This is why we will not be quiet. This is why people are coming together and saying if the United States claims to be a beacon of democracy in the world and a nation committed to establishing justice, this cannot be true as long as poverty is the fourth leading cause. It is a violation of establishing justice. It is a violation of promoting the general welfare. It is a violation of equal protection under the law. And so we've come to say, like the prophets of old, to every congressperson, both sides of the aisle, 'cause we met with everybody today on both sides of the aisle. Remember what our ancient scriptures say, woe unto those who legislate evil and rob the poor of their rights and make women and children their prey, P-R-E-Y. We must stop doing all the praying, P-R-A-Y, and start stopping the praying, P-R-E-Y. People are being preyed on through public policy. It's gone on far too long. We won't be silent anymore. Tomorrow, we'll be meeting about how to intensify this movement. We're going to be talking about how we're going to mobilize in more than 30 state capitals simultaneously in 2024, and how we're coming back to D.C. for a mass poor people's low-wage workers assembly and moral march on Washington and to the polls, and how we're going to work among the 87 million poor and low-wealth people in this country. Over 1/3 of the electorate is now poor and low-wealth. And in battleground states, 44%. 44%. And there's not a state in this country, if 20% of poor and low-wealth voters who have not voted would be organized to vote, that they could not determine who sits in the office of president, governor, senators, and in the state houses in the Congress. We are not a movement without power. And we're going to organize that power. And we're going to use every moral tool. We're not an insurrection, we're a resurrection.
Amen.
We're going to use every moral tool. Now today you see this line, and we're kind of quiet today because Representative Speaker McCarthy wouldn't approve a permit for us to be on the steps, but y'all see everybody else up on the steps. He said we couldn't be up on the steps. Okay. Today we'll stand in the parking lot. Today we'll do that. But this is not a one-day moment. This is a massive movement that's building all over this country, and we won't be silent anymore. Is Representative Lee here yet? Representative Lee, she's not here yet. We have just a few testifiers, and then we're going to ask Representative Lee, Representative John Paul, because they are the sheroes today in terms of they're going to put on the floor tomorrow or introduce tomorrow this third Reconstruction resolution. At this time, we want to ask our first testifier to come. Step right up. Come up, step right up. Come on, brother.
Good evening. My name is Calvin Stewart. I'm from Rolling Fork, Mississippi. My community was hit by an E4 tornado that destroyed over 65% of my community. As of today, I'm still not back in my home. FEMA has not done me any justice, along with a lot of more people in my community. Every time we call FEMA, I'm told, give it 2 weeks, we're reviewing, call back. So many people in my community, we had 176 homes that were lost during this horrific tornado. Citizens are still not getting the help from the government. When our president visited to my city, and he told us that help was on the way. Today, June 20th, there are still 40% of people in Rolling Fork that have been denied numerous times from FEMA with no help. Somebody is hurting our people far too long. Policy is poverty. We're not getting the changes that we need. We're not getting the help we need. We have to fight the democracy of this country to make sure they tell us that they're going to help us. You think about poverty. People that are living in poor wages need help. So we just ask, don't forget us and send that help that you promised you would, FEMA.
And folk are dying.
Folks are
even
dying.
before that tornado. That's what we want, that the condition even before the tornado.
Horrific.
That's right. Thank you, my friend. Yes, ma'am.
Jessica.
Come on, Jessica.
I will skim. Yes, sir. Hello, my name is Jessica Motzinger, and I'm from Illinois. I am an 8-year Navy disabled veteran, and I am also a wife, a retired military spouse, and a third-generation Camp Lejeune toxic water victim. My grandfathers both served proudly until their deaths in 1968 and 1973. Grandpa Crawford was the first to serve in Camp Lejeune. He was the first one affected. My grandma left in poverty after he died in Vietnam with 3 sons, ended up dying from cancer in poverty because she had no health care, could not see a doctor. My mom died when she was 30, shortly after having my brother in Jacksonville, North Carolina. My brother was born with life-threatening health conditions, including renal failure, epilepsy, heart conditions, and everything else. He spent a third of his life in hospitals and on dialysis until his kidney transplant last year. I thought I was born healthy myself, but years later I found out I was poisoned for years from the water there at Camp Lejeune. When I was 30, after having a C-section, I am lucky to be here, I'm lucky to be alive. I survived strokes, necrotizing vasculitis, debilitating neurological diseases that directly came from the poisoned water at Camp Lejeune. Instantly thrown back into poverty, I was struggling to pay essential bills with a newborn baby and a 4-year-old and a deployed husband. So I want to tell you that while Camp Lejeune is my story, yours may be in Flint, Michigan, Jackson, Mississippi, Parkersburg, West Virginia, or more. There are 1,000 other communities, and this government has treated people experiencing poverty, including their military families, with disdainful, deliberate, malicious neglect. They allow corporations to poison us, deny us life-preserving health care, and deny life, liberty, and the opportunity to pursue happiness. We will not be silent anymore.
Amen. That's right. Amen.
We are clear, we are calling this what it is. Poverty is policy murder.
Yes.
Want the media to be clear on that.
30 years.
We're saying to the Congress president, we know people will say, well, we've done this, we've done some tweaks, and we have applauded those things. But we've not done what should be done at the scale to address death. Yes. It's not even just poverty is killing, the 4th leading cause of death. If anything else was the 4th leading cause of death, it would be a matter of a national emergency. We'd have all kinds of hearings and all kinds of resources, but it's poverty.
Yep.
And that's why we're calling for a 3rd Reconstruction. The resolution is not the answer. It is to raise the question, who among the Congress people, senators and House members, have the resolve?
Yes.
The resolve. The resolve. Because what we saw during COVID has proven to us people have a little resolve. But when we saw poor and low-wage folk not even get a raise or health care, even though they were essential workers, to save the rest of us and then die, and this was going into COVID. And I want to realize this to the media, so it's so important. Poverty is the 4th leading cause of death before COVID, not afterwards, before COVID. And we cannot ignore it.
Amen.
And to ignore it is policy murder, because if folk didn't know what the problem was, it'd be manslaughter. But when you actually know, and it's 4 or 5 things that could be done: voting rights, living wages, health care. All of these things would stop people from dying. We can't be, and we won't be silent anymore. Next testify.
Thank you for 30 years of Marines and their families. Thank you for speaking up.
And to hear this is a Marine family. It's kind of like the person that said, when they use poor folk to bargain for the debt ceiling, and said, we're going to make sure veterans can keep their food stamps. Stop for me, hold up. Veterans have to get food stamps?
I had it.
Folk that go and fight for us? And as much as we claim how we love the soldiers, if you know folk will let veterans go on food stamp, what they'll do to the rest of people.
Yes.
We got to change this narrative and this mindset. Come in, my sister. Where is she? Yes, ma'am.
Yes, hallelujah. And thank you, Jesus. I'm proud to be here. Poverty is an American death sentence. If you can't afford to put food on your table, you die.
Yes.
If you can't afford to put a roof over your head, you die. If you can't afford health care, you die. My 44-year-old nephew, less than a month ago, went to the hospital with chest pain and shortness of breath. They told him to wait till the next day and go to his doctor's office. Well, 5 hours later, he was dead. So it will kill you. You will die. This is a death sentence. I got an all black, not just because of that's what we wearing, but I'm mourning.
Mourning, that's right.
I'm mourning the poor people. I'm mourning the debt that we all have to go through. This is a death sentence. I got so much more to say, but I'm going to be obedient and I'm going to stay on track because I feel that my main message is the death sentence that America has put on poor people. I can tell you one thing, working 3 jobs, it kills you. I'm going to tell you. And then when you get home, you got to decide who going to eat. I'm going to tell you that. I know it because I did it.
That's right.
It is a death sentence.
Yes.
Thank you. My name is Carol from Washington State, and I am angry.
That's right.
I am angry.
That's right.
We won't be silent. I won't be silent anymore. I am fighting, and I know you're fighting with me.
That's right. Stay right here.
Amen.
Thank you. And yeah, we have a righteous anger. Matthew Desmond in his book said the only way we're going to stop this is we got to hate poverty as much as people hate doing right by the poor.
Yes, Lord.
We got to hate poverty, not hate people. We got to hate poverty and hate what's going on because it does not have to exist. And this movement is different. We don't come here to speak on behalf of people. We bring the people.
Amen.
And we're calling on Congress. We need major hearings on this. We need budget hearings on this. We need to bring these folk and put them before.
Yes.
And it's 1/3 of the electorate now. The stones that the builders rejected are now the chief cornerstone in building a new reality.
Yes.
Yes.
It is the power block of sisters like this and brothers like this and the diversity, because we say if you die from cancer, you don't die Republican, you don't die Democrat, you don't die black, you don't die white, you just die dead. Dead.
Amen.
Come on, my friend.
Amen. Thank you.
We have one more after this.
My name is Bryson Ripley, and I'm from the state of Kansas. I served 5 years in the United States Marine Corps as a correctional specialist. I joined the military because I thought I would be protecting my country. I thought I would be making the world a better place. In some ways I did, but mostly I was just in the supporting role of American imperialism. When I look at veterans and service members, I see human beings that are willing to put themselves in harm's way to protect their community, their family, and their country. I put myself in harm's way, and I'm still impacted by the injuries that occurred during my service to this day. Politicians decide if we go to war, and service members deserve politicians that value their lives. I could give a lecture on the military-industrial complex, but that's not going to make politicians actually care about the lives of American service members. We have to be honest about the real reasons why we send our troops overseas. As great as it would be, it's not to spread democracy. It's not to protect our country. It's to carry out the economic and political will of the rich. Consent for military conflicts will continue to be manufactured, and it's up to us to push past those false narratives and demand a better solution.
Amen.
What we do determine if people needlessly die. We have to demand the transformation of the war economy into a peace economy. An economy that works for everyone, not just the privileged few at the top.
Yes.
Thank you, my friend.
So much.
This is one of the warriors and the soldiers. He reminds us all the time that 54 cents of every discretionary dollar here, is higher now, is spent toward the war economy, and less than 15 cents on the things that could really save people's lives. We cannot stop. We will not stop. I'm going to keep saying it. The fourth leading cause of death in America is poverty. Just let that sink in real good. And imagine if something else was that high, what we would be doing. And we have not had one presidential debate in the last 20 years that even raised the word poverty. Won't even say it.
Shame.
Won't even say it. Our last testifier. Then we're going to turn this over to Congresswoman Jamila Jayapal and Congresswoman Lee, who are going to talk about this resolution that they're introducing and to find out how many people we got that have the real resolve to do what needs to be done.
Hello everyone. My name is Sandra Noble. I'm a citizen of the United States of America. I live in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I'm dying. I'm dying. I'm dying physically, I'm dying spiritually, I'm dying mentally. My soul is dying. It's leaving. I've been struggling with poverty since birth. At the age of 7, my mom died. My father was incarcerated for 13 years, leaving me a victim of the system, resulting in me being a high school dropout. From 2006 to 2009, I was incarcerated. Upon my release from prison, it was my goal to get my family reestablished. I didn't have my voting rights like 56,000 folks in North Carolina don't have their rights now. You know, I went to college.
After winning them.
After winning them. They gave them to us, they took them back.
273
They gave them to us again, they took them back again. They dangle it in front of us, our rights, our rights. Okay, that wasn't wrote down, that's just coming from the heart. Sometimes I can't go off this paper, I have to come from the heart. You know, I went to prison. When I got out of prison, it was my goal to get my family reestablished, okay? I didn't have any rights. I went to GTCC in Greensboro. I got an associate's degree in substance abuse concentration. I'm now a senior at A&T in the social work department. But I didn't qualify for housing.
Wait a minute, don't hear the rest of the story.
Yeah, I didn't qualify for housing. I didn't qualify for any governmental housing due to my convictions, which left my children homeless. We are dying. Today, I'm a taxpaying citizen with no representation. In other words, taxation with no representation. In my community, we living with life-threatening issues to our health. We go outside, it's trash blowing everywhere. You know, the air is dirty, but I pay high inflated water bill costs, utility costs, lights, water. Why are our streets not clean? Why is our air dirty? Why do my daughter go outside and have asthma attacks and skin conditions, and we got a little bit of health care, okay? Even with the low-paying job, I gotta have 3 jobs in order to take care of my kids.
3.
So who's gonna be at home with my children while I'm at work, okay? And it's a collateral consequence, because if social services find out, then it's a charge, okay? So therefore, you can't work 3 jobs, okay? Then we wanna go back to the food stamps. The food stamps is decreased, okay, due to the jobs. And now my whole taxes was took from a 20-year-old court cost, fine, and fee. We dying. We dying, okay? And now the incarceration, my previous history has left me homeless. When I'm not really homeless, but if I don't work, I will be homeless, okay? If I don't get a job sufficient enough to pay these bills, I'm gonna be homeless. There's no way the car insurance is higher than the paycheck you receive.
That's right.
Okay, it shouldn't work. So now I'm fighting to find a decent job. And this is why we need the Poor People's Campaign and a national call for more revival and a third reconstruction. And we're gonna do this going forward together, not one step back.
In the state she's in, almost 50% of the people work for less than a living wage.
Yes, yes.
Almost 50% of the people work for less than a living wage.
It's hard to
and
get
we've
$20
not, And
out.
we've not raised the living wage a minimum wage since 2009. But we raised corporate salaries and congressional salaries. And people are dying.
And people are dying.
And people are dying.
People are dying.
Huh?
Not congressional.
Well, let me tell you something. Since y'all want to raise that, how about you live off what they make? I mean, y'all my friends, and I'm talking to you, but I know that the congressional people in 14 years have gotten some things that poor folk haven't got. I've read the record. So let's be clear about that. Now, you may not have gotten a whole lot, I don't know, but one thing about it is poor folk are at 725. You got extremist right-wing Congress people that go back home and say, if you make $7.25 an hour, that's $15,000 a year, which means you're in the lower middle class. Because they agree with the government measurement, which we need y'all to change, that says if you make $13,000 a year, you are not poor.
You don't get no
Because so all the numbers are just wrong. It's so much lying. And what this movement is doing is we're going inside it and unpacking the lies. And we say to our friends, we're not knocking the things people have done. We know what the things that we've done, the fights you all have had. What we're saying is we can't settle for that because with all you've tried to do is still the fourth leading cause of death.
Yes.
Because we've not done it to the scale. I had a congressperson tell me, Reverend Barber, I know what it's like to be poor. I said, that ain't the conversation I come to have. That's not a conversation. Well, you know, I came up hard and I made it. Just because you made it up, let me tell y'all something. I used to hustle pool. Yeah. And when you hustle pool, you learn how to make trick shots. I can make a shot with the pool table tilted up at the end, but that ain't how you're supposed to play pool. The table's supposed to be level. So we can never use our own personal coming ups to suggest that the system is okay. And I know y'all don't do that because y'all fight. And that's what we're saying. We've got to have a hatred, a discontent. Something's got to turn over in our stomach when we hear that poverty is the fourth leading cause of death. It almost ought to make us.
Yeah, we are dying.
That's what we're trying to say. We got one more. Our dear sister from Alabama, and then we're going to turn it over. I don't want to miss Wanda. Wanda. Hey, sister.
I'm Wanda Bryan, and I'm from Alabama. And I live in a state where the governor won't expand Medicaid. I live in a state where the governor won't expand Medicaid. She's helped cut the food stamps down. I'm an impacted person. My daughter died in 2020. She overdosed. And had there been Medicaid, she'd have still been here. So I have her 3 kids, my kids, and I only get they cut the food stamps down, so I only get enough stamps for one person.
Jesus.
So I'm having to take my Social Security check and buy food. So my bill's not getting paid. So the HR told me, well, if you can't take care of them, why don't you just give them up? You know.
Shame.
So
Take away our poverty.
this is why, we need a reconstruction for people like me and people in Alabama because it's not fair.
Amen.
And like I said, had that been Medicaid, my daughter would be here with her own kids.
Own kid. Yes, ma'am. If there had been Medicaid expansion, and that's why we can't settle and say, well, we passed Medicaid expansion. We got to get the universal health care.
That's right.
And we got to fight for it.
That's right.
And so congresspersons, as you come, know this too, because I know that y'all are all political animals, and rightfully so. I hear people talking about coming south. You can't win the South if you don't win poor. And stop saying poor white folk vote against their own interests. That's not true. The data shows it's not true. We got it. Most poor folk, when they vote progressive. The problem is most have stopped voting because nobody talks to them. That's the real truth. A presidential candidate hadn't been to Harlan County, Kentucky since Lyndon Baines Johnson. It wouldn't take but 19% of poor and low wealth folk who are registered already but just don't vote to determine the outcome in North Carolina. 4% in Florida, 7% in Georgia, 1% in Michigan. We've done the homework. We just got to change the narrative, and folk got to hear it and hear the rhetoric and know who's fighting for them. And we're willing to do the dirty work, the hard work. Look at that line. Y'all see them? They still there, aren't they?
You're right back there.
You see, but you see the discipline. They standing, because we ain't going nowhere.
Amen.
And we're going to build and build. February of this coming year, we're going to do 30 simultaneous actions at state capitals. 30 of them, at least 5 to 10,000 people. We are asking you to send your constituencies to when you hear these rallies. Next year, June 15th, we're going to have the Mass Poor People's Low-Wage Workers Assembly Mall March on Washington to the Poll. Now, we can't let politicians speak at the mic. We made a decision early on that these folks speak. We don't have national leaders speak for them. They are the national leaders.
Amen.
You know, but you could come march with us.
Amen.
And you could tell all your constituents on June 15th, and we could put 500,000 folk in the street.
Amen.
To address poverty and low wealth. And lastly, when you do voting rights, connect it to poverty.
Yeah.
Don't just talk about voting rights a black issue. It's not a black. It's a race issue. It's a class issue. We won in North Carolina against voter suppression by putting together a voter suppression bill. There's a lawyer that did it right there by including black plaintiffs, white plaintiffs, disabled folk, churches, all of that. That's how we beat the worst voter suppression case after Shelby. We did not let it merely be about race. We didn't lessen race. We expanded it.
Yes.
So you got an army out here that's ready. 87 million folk. Come go with us. Come go into the hollers and the hood, on the street corner from California to California. Come go with us to Kansas farmers who are committing suicide to try to take care of their families. And let's put their faces out in front of America and make America. Every time you're getting ready to do something big, call us, and then we'll bring you the faces. We'll put them right there behind you, put them in your hearing, so that America has to see herself. We can do this. The power is real. And so Congressman Jayapal and Congresswoman Lee, we thank you all for stepping up with this first step. Jayapal, I know, yeah. And I'm gonna ask Liz and we're gonna step back, and I want all the speakers to come up and stand around the Congresswoman, all the speakers. We're gonna step away, we're gonna step to the side, me and Liz. We might be co-chair, but this is what this is really about. You know, we aren't the kind of co-chair leaders that got to always be in the limelight. These are the folk. Y'all come on. Let's make this diverse. Come on up, Mr. Veteran. There you go. I'm gonna go over here and there she is.
Oh, there she is.
All right.
Let me give the mic to my sister. No. Are you sure? Okay. Okay. Well, thank you so much, Reverend Barber. Thank you, Reverend Liz. But most of all, thank you to the Poor People's Campaign, to my sister Carol from my home state, to Calvin, to everybody that told their story about being an impacted poor person and the neglect that you have faced from policymakers, because this is a national call for a moral revival, and I am so proud to be co-leading this with my sister Barbara Lee, who has made poverty her issue for a very long time. It is not a new thing for Barbara Lee. It has been the thing that she has been pushing on. That's why we have a poverty task force in the United States House of Representatives, because of Representative Barbara Lee. So she really should be speaking first, but she told me to go ahead since I was at the mic. But I am really proud to be leading this with her and to have so many of my colleagues, many progressives from the House of Representatives, members of the Congressional Progressive Caucus, who have been on the front lines of saying, this is far too late. This is far too late, but it is right on time for what we need to do today. So we are introducing this resolution at a time when millions are struggling, when rising inflation leaves people with too little, where we still do not have Medicare for all and a universal health care system, where 1 in 4 Americans don't have enough to eat, where others can't make their rent or pay their bills, and the pandemic didn't create poverty. Reverend Barber's absolutely right. There was a lot of poverty before, but it also pushed another 100 million people into poverty that we could have avoided. So we are here to say that we have sacrificed poor people at the altar of so-called compromise, at the altar of neglect, and no more.
Amen.
No more.
So we are here today because we refuse to stand by as hardworking people
make poverty wages. We refuse to stand by as grandparents cut pills in half or watch their daughters die because they can't afford health care. We refuse to stand by at a time when nearly half of all Americans can't even cover a $400 emergency expense, and all as year after year after year we pump billions of dollars into a bloated Pentagon budget, and the Republicans continue to pass tax cuts for the rich and for corporations. As my friend Ilhan Omar, I know she was here, always says, we are not a country that suffers from scarcity. We suffer from greed. And that is exactly right. Our resolution rejects the idea that poverty is a personal failure. It's not a personal failure. It's a policy choice. It's a policy choice. And if you had any doubt about that, look at what we did with the child tax credit. We cut child poverty in half with that child tax credit, but we let it expire. So we know how to deal with this. We know that we can make better choices. Eradicating poverty is not just possible, it is essential. And that's why today we are here as members of Congress who are ready to stand with you, with the Poor People's Campaign across this country, with champions of the anti-poverty movement as we reintroduce the third Reconstruction Resolution. This is our promise to you that we will fight for poor people everywhere in this country. We are committed to tying poverty to every other issue we are fighting for. Our democracy, expanding voting rights, creating a humane immigration system, guaranteeing living wages, and so much more. We are committed to policies that build from the bottom up, including housing, healthcare, climate justice, equitable public education. Just today, somebody said to me, I think it was one of our Washington State members who came to visit me in my office, and said to me, the thing about this resolution is it's about everything.
That's right.
It's about everything. It's not siloing the topics. It's not saying, well, you fight against the military budget and you fight for universal health care and Medicare for all and you fight for a living wage. No, this is all part of what is critical if we are going to have this national call for a more moral revival and a reconstruction from the bottom up. So thank you all so much. We will fight with you. We will march with you. We will put your stories front and center. We need to do that CPC special order hour again, where we read your stories out on the floor of the House, and we will make sure that we put poverty at the center of justice. Center of justice. Thank you all so much. And do I get to introduce my colleague? Can I introduce to you the great, and the only champion, Barbara Lee.
We got a surprise for you.
Well, good evening, my brothers and sisters. First of all, let me thank my colleague and sister, Pramila Jayapal. Where is Pramila? Here you are, Pramila. Because as chair of the Progressive Caucus, I just want to say one thing about Congresswoman Jayapal. You know, using the P word here on Capitol Hill was really banned in many respects. You don't talk about poverty, but you don't say that there are over 140 million people living below the poverty line. But we decided with Bishop Barber, with the Poor People's Campaign, with Reverend Theo Harris, to make it a word that that we use each and every day to remind people that it's a moral disgrace that in the wealthiest, the most powerful country in the world, we have over 140 million people living below the poverty line. So I want to thank you, Pramila, our chair, and the Progressive Caucus for really joining ranks with the Poor People's Campaign. And finally, and you see so many members who have unified with Bishop Barber, Reverend Theo Harris, and all of you, all of our impacted people who have to live day after day, not knowing what it means to thrive, just trying to survive, trying to survive. Well, I want you to know you have an army of members of Congress up here now, fighting alongside you, so that you can not only survive, but so you can thrive in America. And that's what you deserve. That's what you deserve. You know, to rebuild our economy from the bottom up, we have to stand with 140 million people who are poor, low wealth, or just one emergency away from economic ruin in the United States. Because we're at a tipping point. Our country's at a tipping point. We can maintain the status quo if we want to, or we can choose to prioritize the needs and the demands of our neighbors who are poor, or one health care crisis, one job loss, one storm, or emergency away from economic desperation. It's hard to imagine someone living off of $7 or $8 an hour. How do you do that and raise a family in America? We know the pain that you're feeling. We know that the pain so many in this wealthy country are feeling really is a pain that should not be. And it's because of the policies, it's because of the funding priorities in this country, where we're putting over $850 billion into the military budget. Come on, and cutting domestic programs. That's why we're here today, to say no more. We will not be silent anymore. No more. And so, yes, we're introducing the legislation tomorrow.
Yes.
We need to have a third Reconstruction. There's nothing to reconcile. This is Reconstruction. It's Reconstruction. And so I just want to thank you all for being here. And we have to keep up this fight until there is liberty and justice, not for some, but for all. For all. And so thank you. You are here to remind us that there must be liberty and justice for all, and we stand in this fight with you, alongside you, and we're going to pass this with your help.
Yes.
Thank you.
Congresswoman John Paul and Lee, before we do anything further, we have something we want to say to the other members who come. Number one, somebody said to me, well, what is a resolution? We want to know who's with us, so we can know how we got to intensify this fight. And we see, it's not just about winning. Even if you don't pass it, putting it on the floor gives us a temperature check. Because we've decided that in the aftermath of COVID, when a lot of our loved ones have died, we had one family lost 25 members in a 30-mile radius in Mississippi. Frederick Douglass said in 1852, after the Dred Scott decision, there comes a time when you must consider that what has been done may be a necessary link in the chain of events toward the downfall of the whole system. Therefore, we will intensify. In the aftermath of COVID, we're going to intensify. And let me say what that means. We're going to use every nonviolent, moral tool at our disposal to make sure that this nation cannot ignore the poor. In this city and in state capitals around the country. We are not, and that's not a veiled threat. We are serious. And we thank you for help. We also are going to go after these lies. Like every time we hear these economists say, in order to deal with inflation, you got to protect against wage inflation. People making more money than create this inflation. War, a pandemic, and price gouging, and all that stuff. We've got an army of scholars with us now. We want to make you all this promise. When you deal with us, you ain't dealing with a group that's loud and wrong.
That's right.
We got our facts together. We promise you that, so you don't be embarrassed. We say 140 million, we can back it up. We got the best scholars. Because what we're not going to do is be loud and wrong, and we're not going to stop. So, where's it? We want to get, yes, ma'am, I want to do something for you, and I want to give this to them so that they can have, they told us we couldn't have no placards over there.
They always do.
And what was funny is that McCarthy wouldn't let us on the step, but we saw these other folk. But we'll be back. So, but you want to give each one of you all, come and Cass and Liz, so you can take it back to your office.
Can we introduce them?
We want y'all to have.
Call their name. Can we call their
names? Oh, yeah, sure. I'm just giving this out, and y'all can do. Now, our people may have left because they're going to Taft Park. They've been standing up for the last 4, 5, 6 hours.
Well, we have some warrior members of Congress here, men and women, who we just like to recognize and introduce. Okay,
Reverend Al Green.
Reverend Al. He's a reverend. He's a reverend.
From Texas. He's from Texas.
Al Green from Texas.
And Congressman Ro Khanna from California.
That's right.
Representative Bonnie Watson Coleman from New Jersey.
That's right.
Representative Rashida Tlaib from Michigan.
Representative Jamie Raskin from Maryland.
And who else?
Jasmine Crockett.
Where are you from? There?
Representative Jasmine Crockett from Texas.
Texas, that's right.
Representative Delia Ramirez from Illinois.
Illinois.
All right.
So if you had gone in that line, you'd had delegations from there. We had delegations from 30 states, over nearly 1,000 people for 3 days. Tomorrow we talk about what's next. The last thing we want y'all to know is we are creating what's called fusion strike teams. Every congressperson, regardless of their side of the aisle, is going to have a team assigned to them. It's going to be poor people, moral leaders, and advocates. They're going to stay in their offices. You'll see them. They're coming to see you too. They're going on both sides of the aisle. And those are our friends. We're going to do everything we can. Those not, we're going to be like the, thorn in their flesh. We're going to do the same thing for the state house leadership. We meet with the White House tomorrow. But we're not settling for a meeting with this. That we want to meet with the president. They've agreed to that. But as I said, I don't want to meet. What's me meeting with the president? Liz just going up in there. We want him to meet with impacted people who actually believe in the stuff he has said he wants to do and can be the face to make it happen. That's the seriousness and the long-term commitment that we're trying to bring to this work. And we love those of you who have stood for what's right. We love those of you who refuse at times that will fight even when you may not win the vote.
That's right.
But the people say, look, the fighting encourages us to fight more.
That's right.
And really, we really don't have the right Congress that ought to be in this place because we have not got all the people voting yet.
That's right.
If we move this sleeping giant, if we move 25%
That's right.
of poor, low-wealth people around an agenda, a movement changes all the political calculus.
Yes.
All of it. No, the South is not red, it's unorganized. Ain't red, it's unorganized. And it's also uninspired. People are telling me, I ain't never had a politician talk to me. We're going to change that. We're going after, while people are saying, we scared of, what's his name in Florida?
Ron DeSantis.
What we say is 4%.
Yeah.
We say 4%. 4% of poor and low-wealth people organize around an agenda for living wages and things that 75 or 80% of Floridians want. Changes the political calculus. Now, I know y'all can't talk like that because y'all sitting congressmen, so I did it.
Okay.
Right. Any questions from the media?
We had two additional representatives who were here earlier because I want everyone to know the states. Representative Fouché from North Carolina and Representative Schakowsky from Illinois. They were here earlier with you.
And Cori Bush, too.
And Representative Cori Bush from Missouri.
All right.
I want you all to know that you're building quite an army of members of Congress here to fight on the inside to make sure we pass this Thursday.
Poor People's Campaign.
National call for moral revival.
Forward together.
Not one step back.
Forward together.
Not one step back.
We won't be silent anymore. If you want a movement, that we'll fight. If you want a movement, that we'll stand. If you want a movement, made up of everybody. If you want a movement, that won't quit. We are that movement. 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 Yeah. Love you all.
All right, love you guys. God bless you. Oh, Reverend Green. Yeah. Go give some love to Texas.
We're gonna be here for you.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you for everything. I'll pray for us.
Let me get my
I will.
love you.
I'm glad you're here.
Taz.
You're not
Where's
gonna come get my
Taz?
love.
How you doing?
Casimir.
Better than I deserve.
Talk to us about it, please.
Thank you. I really
Yeah, that is a new one.